We've all seen the movie The Matrix. It was interesting and fun on the big screen of the TV, but has it become a bit too real in your own life? Are you seeing glitches in the Matrix and trying to figure out what's happening? Have you been told that you've been tricked and that you need to fight against what they've done to you? The deception. Whether you're just beginning to notice, or if you've been searching for a more peaceful and congruent way to live without battling them, you're in the right place. I'm Ken, and I'll be joined by Eliza and Reina Stella. Let's explore together on the Liberty Ark. So Reina Stella and Eliza and I are here, and we're going to go through some concepts from a book that's very important to us. And it is the concept we're going to talk about today is You Are Here. That's the overall concept. But it's from a book that we enjoy. So go right ahead, Eliza.
This is an introduction and overview of the historical and legal contexts that have led to the current state of societal bondage, while also touching upon the hidden esoteric principles that underpin this system. This will broaden one's perspective on the concepts around indentured debt slaves of the world and its esoteric and multidimensional nature that infused the system, unknown to most, as it follows the esoteric maxim of hidden in plain sight. For an individual to improve, advance, or grow, one must first know what is possible. Likewise, to know where you want to go, one must first know where they have been and where they currently are. Like a map at the mall, showing the reference point, you are here. This book aims to show the current state of mankind in general and the course it took to get here. This will not be a detailed, exhaustive work going back to the creation of the cosmos, but rather a series of shortcuts highlighting those pieces from the art of men, whose decrees and acts set the stage from where we are expected to play out our designated roles. It is presumed that much like ourselves, you too have experienced a sense of unease that has lingered in the back of your mind like a dripping faucet, ceaseless and persistent, driving you mad. Regardless of the many attempts you make to ignore it, it remains. It is a nagging feeling that something is amiss in this world, like a sixth sense or a quiet whisper in your ear, that you have been born and raised in captivity, trapped within an invisible prison built by an enigmatic something. Much like the authors, that feeling has led you in pursuit of the truth as to why you feel so frustrated at times. Presently, that pursuit has led you to this body of work, and it is our desire to assist you in repositioning that you are here marker on your map closer to your goal. For me, that niggle kind of comes up in my face that there seem to be two sets of rules in this world, one written for us and one written by that esoteric or special group, special hidden group, that they operate by a different set of rules. That's that esoteric maxim.
I've been kind of thinking through, you mentioned two groups, and the concept is something I've been kind of thinking through this week, and that is the rules, as a general rule, rules create tension in you, know? When you're in around and you can't just freely do whatever you want to do, rules create tension. Now, on the other hand, if there are no rules at all, chaos ensues, right? And what's the reason that chaos ensues? If you didn't have the rules, if you personally didn't have rules, would chaos ensue? Or does it depend on somebody else not following the rules? There's law that makes good sense and that sensible people would do even without the law. And those are basically the things of do to other people, treat other people the way you want to be treated, the rules that we all know. And then you would be doing that anyway. And then there's all kinds of regulations and statutes that go far beyond that to very little silly things that really have nothing to do with not harming someone. Those are the things that create tension in all of us, which to me is that invisible prison that creates the slavery of being under control and watched. Now we're watching ourselves because we're seeing that speed limit sign and knowing that somebody might come after us and worried, even though we're not doing anything that's putting someone else at risk or that is bad that we're doing it.
It causes confusion, right? Because, example, us three, we really do not need rules to know right from wrong. So it causes confusion that now rules come to play. It impacts us. We don't need them. But the confusion is they're out there for the people that do need them, but it hurts the people that do not as us.
Exactly.
It does cause a little bit of confusion, and I know it's intentional.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, is that what they utilize to sort of stir us to really cause chaos and fighting amongst each other as well, because we don't need those rules. But
let's go back to the founding of the country. Okay. We were told at the founding of the country that we are to self-rule, right? But we're also told that self-rule, this type of country, can only exist with a moral people. And that's why. As long as we have a moral people that make right decisions, you don't need all those regulations. And you can be free. But unfortunately, there are among us people that are not moral people. So the moral people get put in prison, basically, an imaginary prison, by the rules that they don't even need.
It begs the question, going back to the reading, who is this? Who's making the rules? And for what overarching purpose? Okay, who's creating the division? Who's creating any of the environment that this is somehow we've been indoctrinated to think this is all needed. So who and for what overarching purpose? And that would answer a big question.
Do you know historically, either of you, because I really don't, do you guys know historically at what point we went from natural law to rules and regulations?
This goes into a whole nother direction. But when we hit a point where we went into a military rule, okay, which was my understanding is under Abraham Lincoln, where he started having to rule things with executive orders versus following the Constitution, where the Constitution outlined a set of morality, executive order set of managing everything. And I'm not saying that it's in times of war, that we have to be in a state of war where that can take place. Now we get away from, or, basically the Constitution is undermined or stepped away from.
Mm-hmm.
That for me was a big.
Yeah. So that really, for our country, was the switchover, right? Because the Constitution basically was natural law, right? And you had freedom there, right? Still, the freedom to swing your arm ends where my nose begins. So even under the Constitution, you don't have the right to smack me around anytime you want to. But you're free to do whatever you want to do as long as you're not harming someone else. But some people will harm someone else. So what do you do about that?
Well, how do we feel, like in general, like how do we feel that the rules are in place for those people that would harm us? How do we overall feel? Like, again, it's more like there's a bit of confusion because I do feel like rules are needed, not for us, but they are needed. So how do we clarify that? Because we think about it and I mean, even if you talk to anybody around you, right, that isn't even running into this material or studying this material, and they will tell you that we do need police officers to come and help us settle a matter, right, that is personal, right? But then you think about it, would you really want a police officer inside your home helping you clear up something between you and your son or you and your husband or even you and your neighbor? And the answer is absolutely not. That should be private. But then you think about if we are people that do no harm, do we want or do we need those rules in place for the people that are out there looking to harm us? And that's where I think there's a little bit of clarification that we all need to understand, because we did grow up in a way with direction, whether we were in school, right, or at church, even at a theme park, right? They want specific things done. So I think we need to clarify rules. Should not be across the board. I mean, it should be for the people that need them, but how do we clear that up? And I think we may even have the discussion of, no, there should be no rules. We all, 100% of us should all be able to guide ourselves, natural law, guide ourselves. But unfortunately, I feel like the rules are needed for specific people.
So the way I look conceptually at a lot of things is virtually everything in the universe flows through a pendulum swing, right? And it always overswings until it's swung so far that the other side gets enough force to pull it back the other way, and then they overswing it their way, right? And bureaucracies as a whole always try to build themselves stronger and stronger and stronger. So you put those two things together and you start creating rules, and that bureaucracy will swing so far and create all kinds of silly rules that completely go way beyond the bounds of what the people were looking for as far as some rules so that that guy doesn't hurt me. Now I can't move because there's so many rules constricting on me, when all I wanted was a couple of rules to keep people from doing stupid stuff to me. Does that make sense? So it's a question of degree and swing, and just the universe just works that way, right? Things always go way off to one side, and then they'd have a tendency to swing way back to the other side, and getting that middle ground that makes logical sense seems to be very difficult for us to get to.
I think that is an excellent point, because where we're at now with all the statute codes and rules for everything and anything, is that there's no demand for self-guidance, a moral compass, community oversight, a community guiding those within the community, and then having any responsibility. So what we have is a society that has been indoctrinated to look for ways around the system.
Mm-hmm.
There's no moral compass needed. It's just there are so many rules and regulations how do I get around it? And that's a governless society. That's not governing, that's control.
Yeah. I think
that's that pendulum.
That's really well put. It's left governance and into control. And I think that's an important wording. And that's kind of what leads to the slavery that we read about, right? Because now you're not allowed the freedom of movement to make your own decisions within the bounds of not harming people. It's very much the same of what I ran into with licensing in my profession. And that is, you spend all of your time trying to keep from getting in trouble by breaking a rule when you're not doing anything wrong at all, and you wouldn't be doing anything wrong at all. But there's so much worry about breaking the rules. You spend half your day documenting things and making sure that if anything ever happened, that you've got the documentation for it and so forth, right? It feels like being in jail. It very much does to me. It does not feel like freedom to me at all.
Yeah, and what I'm hoping to explore as we go through this read is definitely understanding why we're under such control and in this atmosphere, because it just seems from all the noise that's taking place, it's very clear that the overall goal is to keep us divided, and these rules that we're talking about, and the additional rules that come every day, every month, every year, is for that specific purpose. Mm-hmm. Is for us not to be able to, I guess, have a second of our day to really understand, like sit down and understand what is really going on and why is this all necessary. So I'm really hoping to get a lot out of this read and as we explore this, because there is, in my mind, a lot of confusion, but I know that this will clear it up.
I agree with you. I think anyone starting to explore the niggle or why we are at where we are at, and you are here, I think anybody should know, everyone should know, that there's a critical mass questioning this that's starting to form. This is not, we're not alone anymore. And that's exactly how it feels. It's not only you are here, but you are alone. And that you are alone part doesn't apply anymore. That was comforting to me.
What I'm excited about, though, is being able to see, as people have started to awaken, it causes, I guess, what started out as anger and fear, it causes like, wow, okay, everybody is getting, being aware and they're curious and they're exploring and they're questioning. There's a lot of people doing that now. As when we look at it 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, it wasn't being talked about. And if it was being talked about, those people were being criticized like crazy. So people would like, okay, I better not say anything anymore. Mm-hmm. But now it's like everywhere. And it's actually super important that we do not ignore it. And I'll say what I did mention to my 4 young adults. It's very important that now that this is being brought to you, read through it and make sure that you do not ignore it, because what's happening is, based on like my research is we're at a point where the system that we are in, whatever that system is, it's about to collapse. A new system's being created. And the overall goal is to initially start learning or exploring on how to exit the system we're in while we wait for the new one to be implemented. So when the new one is implemented, you don't step into that new system. But you have to start now that the information has been brought to you. And it's definitely important that there's so much information that the key thing is simply that the step one that you need to take is don't ignore it. Be curious. Ask. Hear us out. Let's read through this story together and let's see what comes out of it, because there's a lot of information that we need to talk about and explore as we go through this, because there's so much material out there. Which direction do we go? What do we read? Where, there's so much. And that's the thing we want to try to sort of explore together to hopefully simplify it, guidance, calmly, quietly, peacefully, but definitely at least getting the information so it's like a starting point for you to take this and go from there. Do what it is you can do with it. We are at a certain point. The worst thing you can do today is ignore it. Ignore it. The best thing you can do is get curious.
That there actually could be a way to operate from a position of empowerment, not being belligerent, and as you said, in peace, but there is a way in the current system as it evolves into perhaps another system that we can evolve from a position of empowerment. That was the biggest wake up for me, and they gave me so much peace to go forward in the journey.
And for our young adults, right, that from ages, 22 to 29, every single movie that has come out during your lifetime, pay attention to it. Movies that are cartoon movies. I don't know, the movie that is about ants. There's a really good scene, a 15-second scene that is so powerful. What's the name of the Bug's Life?
Yes, I think that's right.
Right, Bug's Life. Mm-hmm. Okay, there is a scene. There 15 seconds where one ant stands up to, I guess, the leader, right? And that leader immediately does say, it's not good that one ant has stood up to us. We need to make sure we shut them down, because if they find out, there's definitely a lot more ants than us, right? So I'm definitely not giving the exact quote, but it gives you an idea that no matter if it was a cartoon movie or more of a Matrix movie or a Hunger Games, what is the movie that came out recently? The Korean movie that came out recently where they play the games, Squid Games. Have you guys seen Squid Games?
I've not.
You guys should watch Squid Games. Oh my gosh, you guys haven't. I hope it's the correct name. If not, I'm going to make a fool of myself. But that movie, any movie from the millennials, right, the age group that have come out, those movies are so on point to what's going on in real life, guys. And I'm sure a lot of us, that's why we are now awake, because we have actually compared it and it's so real. So yeah, it's definitely important that we explore this information and not ignore
it. I like that you bring up the two of the movies, and I've watched them over and over. The Matrix, for the most part, the majority don't realize that they're in the Matrix, that they're under a system of control external to them. What I like about the Hunger Games is that they all realize it. They all realize it, that it's all wrong, but they didn't think anything, that they could do anything about it. And it was, so there you have one movie that very few realize or have awoken to the fact that they're in the Matrix. The other ones are fully aware, but feel powerless. Both have the great endings that they do, but they send the message, at least for me.
But the crazy part also is the fact that I'm running into clips of movies from like 30, 40, 50 years ago that had messages for us.
Yep.
So it's every single movie out there has something for us intentionally, but we don't catch it. But I bet you today, the people that are now awake probably capture those little 15-second things. We start seeing things a lot different when we run into this information. We start hearing and listening a lot more carefully and understand it a lot different than before we were awake. So I just have to say, I'm 53. It's definitely not too late at 53 to run into this information and be curious and explore as we go. Never too late.
Correct. All right, guys. Hey, this was a lot of fun. We got lots more to talk about, but
It was Squid Games. So I go, I was correct. Yeah. I just confirmed it. Squid Games. Watch it, guys.
I'll have to go watch it.
I'm going to.
All right. Eliza and Reina Estella, I appreciate you coming out tonight, talking through this with us. And we got lots more to do in the future. So next time, see you guys.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Love you both. Bye-bye.
Love you both. Bye.
The views expressed in this Liberty Ark podcast are for informational and educational purposes only. They do not constitute legal or tax advice, and they may not reflect the official positions of anyone at all, really. We want to express our appreciation to the authors of the unpublished manuscript titled The Great International Heist, on which the Liberty Ark podcast is based. Rebecca and Jonathan Rodrigues, the authors, provide courses that go into much greater depth and are available at libertyarkpodcast.com/White Rabbit.